Welcome back to the Grow Along, and today it is Larkspur. There we go. Look at those colours. If you've never grown Larkspur before, then this is the one I recommend you go for. If you wanted to add a couple of renucs, it would only improve it, but I just wanted you to see, if you just had Larkspur and that's all you grew, how amazing it would look, just as it is. Now, Larkspur is very hardy indeed. In fact, it needs two types of cold treatment. The first is cold stratification, and that's to break the seed dormancy. And we do that by sowing the seeds either in a cold greenhouse and waiting for Mother Nature to chill the seeds down, or we can cheat and put the seeds in the fridge or the freezer at least 2 weeks before sowing. That will chill the seeds down, and it means that when you sow them, they will germinate much more quickly. The second part is called cold vernalisation, and basically what that means is the seeds will germinate, they'll start to grow, and then they will hit the pause button, just like the sweet rocket. They will need a period of cold growing conditions throughout the winter to trigger flower formation for next year. We have a really long cold winter, please, I don't want one, but if we do, you can probably get away with sowing your seed a little bit later. However, you never can tell these days, can you? So it's better to get your seed started as soon as you possibly can. I have been doing one of my little experiments on the Larkspur, and in your handbook it's been updated. I have found, just like the Ami, if we cover them, the darkness actually does aid germination. So that's the method that I'm going to use for you today. So here are my seeds. I've opened my foil carefully. There are your Larkspur seeds. I can put any that I don't use back later. Now you can either sow on the soil surface. I've broken my sowing now, so I'm going to have to swap hands. You can either sow on the soil surface and then sift compost later, or, I've already made a start, you can dib a little hole in the compost and then you can cover it over later. So I've already done these two, so I'm going to do this one here. So just one at a time. Don't worry if you get two, you can always separate them later. I will show you in a moment how to do that. Go. It's the wrong hand, so I'm not quite as slick as I normally am. Never mind. My nail will soon grow back. And then all we're going to do, just to plunge them into darkness, is gently cover them over, like so. I'm going to put purple pickety in the other side, I think. Switch hands. While I'm doing this, I'm going to run a video for you. Fast forward about 3 weeks and you can see that they are germinating. Some are coming up quicker than others, but there is no rush. Look at that. Up on the shelf in the greenhouse and let the cold fluctuating temperatures work their magic. These are the Nigella and the cornflowers doing really well. It's important that you get your seeds potted on, so we'll sow them in 40 cell trays so they take up less room, and we'll pot them on in late winter. Let them grow on into 15 cell plugs before putting them out in the ground. We want to just keep them away from the rain, so we'll have to judge each individual year. You never know. One year I might plant them in February, another year it will be mid to late March. I just need to keep an eye on the weather. Larkspur have a taproot, which means that we need to stake them well when it comes to planting so the wind doesn't rock them out of position. And it also means that we need to be really careful when moving them out of these cell trays. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze from underneath, and that should make your plant just pop out. If it doesn't for any reason, this is called a widger. You can get these online. And you can also use a butter knife or a fish knife. As long as it's got a blunt edge, And then that really helps to lever out any plants that you might need a bit of a helping hand with. Now you may have noticed that this one has got 2 plants in the same cell, so we need to separate these and we need to be really careful. So I'll put that one aside for now and we'll come back to it in a little while. So I'm just filling in all around with some fresh compost. It's important that you don't overwater your larkspur. It's quite a drought tolerant plant. So I will, rather than put these in a tray of water to hydrate from underneath, I'm going to just give them overhead water. That will settle the compost and it'll also mean that there's not too much water sitting in the tray. Okay, so this is larkspur and it has a taproot, so we have to be extra careful when we're separating them. We need to make sure that the taproot goes in the same direction with each plant. If you pull the taproot and snap it, it is curtains for your plant baby. I had a quick look and I can see the taproot for this plant is running here and the taproot for that one is running there. So they're quite close together, but that's perfectly doable. So what I'm going to do is, bearing in mind where the taproots are, I'm just going to ever so gently tease it apart. And hopefully we'll get enough root ball that the plants won't even notice that they've been carefully separated. There we go. Astonishing when you pop them on, isn't it? You're so surprised. They seem to fan out almost immediately and you're so surprised that they were ever fitting in the 40 cells in the first place. I'm looking forward to these. I absolutely love larkspur. These ones are beautiful. They are called Misty Lavender. Misty Lavender is looking misty. It is just stunning, isn't it? Just a vase of these all by themselves would be so classy, so sophisticated. Now don't let your larkspur get root bound. Make sure you do pot it on as soon as it needs it. If you leave your seedlings in their seed trays for too long and you mollycoddle them in your zippy greenhouse, I'm going to put a picture up on the screen for you now. Can you see? These larkspur have bolted to flower when they're very, very short, but they've also gone white with shock. What's happened is they've been sat in a greenhouse with all the doors shut all winter and then suddenly forced out into the winter temperatures, and that has quite literally turned them white with shock. That is called cold shock. The plants that are hardening off. Now you would think, wouldn't you, that having them in the greenhouse where it's nice and warm would be better for growth, but it isn't. They're so much happier now they're out here, even though it's cold at night. They're so much happier out here in the fresh air. Absolutely smashing. With all this lovely weather, look at these. With all this lovely weather, we should be able to get these planted out in the garden soon. Don't worry, we've got the real-time grow along as well as this video. So we'll be keeping an eye on the temperatures together and I will show you exactly what I'm doing in my own garden. Now these are your larkspur. Now they can look similar to Nigella. Here's your Nigella. You can see the Nigella are taller. They're a bit more delicate and they're taller. So they're similar, but hopefully you should be able to see the difference. There we go, look at those roots. And we're planting these 22 centimetres apart. Here we are, look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Gonna leave them, gonna water them and then leave them to get on with growing. Oh my goodness me, look at the larkspur, isn't it doing well? So we've got no lids on these frames here because these have got the hardy annuals in. So larkspur's good down to -15. It's been well hardened off as well, so it shouldn't bat an eye at the cold temperatures. Now if you're wondering about direct sowing your larkspur, I don't direct sow my larkspur because it really doesn't tolerate wet winter conditions. Saying that, for the first time ever I have got some self-seeded larkspur in my garden. I'm going to leave it because I want to see what the winter temperatures do to it so that I'm better informed for next year. But I'm not going to rely on it, not least because I want to know exactly what I've got coming up for next year's flowers. So here we have the larkspur, and you can see they're looking a lot less like Nigella now, aren't they? Getting beautiful sturdy stems starting to shoot skywards. So here we've got the larkspur, and some of the plants are now taller than me. Absolutely incredible, and the first buds are opening. So in just a few weeks this is going to be a complete wall of flowers. This is larkspur, smoky eyes, and I just wanted to show you the backs of the petals. They're just as stunning as the fronts, aren't they? Absolutely incredible.